Well, let's talk more on the legacy of the late president. I'm now joined by Evgeny Volk, Deputy Director of the Yeltsin Foundation. Evgeny, thanks very much for being here with us in the program. First off, what's the historical impact of Boris Yeltsin's time in power on Russia's role in the world?
Boris Yeltsin was a great leader, and his impact on Russian history was tremendous. First of all, he managed to demolish the totalitarian communist system, which represented a dramatic threat for both Russian citizens and the whole world. Second, he saved the country from the national catastrophe which was caused by the communist rule. And third, he actually laid the cornerstones of civil society, free market economy and rule of law in Russia.
Well, despite of the positive things that you just mentioned that he has done during his time in office, his reforms were heavily criticized throughout his rule and even now. Do you think Boris Yeltsin could have made the transition period for many Russians smoother than it had been?
Yeltsin inherited a very difficult legacy. He had to act with full resolve, sometimes taking unpopular decisions. In fact, many of his decisions were caused by the lack of time, but they managed to save the country. Of course, we can now discuss whether Yeltsin was right or not in taking some decisions. But history has no subjunctive mood. He acted and with all courage and with all resolve. And actually now many people in Russia understand that there was no other way. And Russian success, both economic and political, in the years of presidency, Mr. Putin and Mr. Medvedev, has its basis in Yeltsin's political legacy. Many things which we enjoy now were forecast and were actually prepared by Yeltsin's rule.
Well, Evgeny, Boris Yeltsin will be known for many generations to come as a man who fully opened the door to Washington, but some say he allowed the U.S. to interfere in Russia's affairs too much. What's your assessment?
I think that Yeltsin has wisely rejected the legacy of the Cold War, where the American-Russian relationship was based on the zero-sum game, which meant that what is good for Russia, for the Soviet Union, was meant to be bad for America, and vice versa. What was good for the United States was interpreted as bad for Russia. Yeltsin established a cooperative kind of relationship with Washington. He had a personal friendship with then American President Bill Clinton, and he made Russia a part of a civilized Commonwealth, a part of civilized international community, establishing a new kind of partnership and friendship with the United States.
Well, Evgeny, you met Boris Yeltsin at the time he first became president in 1991. So what was your impression of him as a leader and as a person?
I was lucky to interpret for Yeltsin at an important meeting with a foreign mission in early December 1991, when the collapse of the Soviet Union was inevitable, and many people felt that a catastrophe in the country could be inevitable too. In this atmosphere, Yeltsin manifested courage, resolve, and magnificent intuition. He was really a competent leader. He understood very well the prospects. He really had a vision of the new Russia. He had a vision of the new international relations. And he really demonstrated his abilities as a national leader and a leader of really international scale. He was full of resolve and full of courage, and he managed to succeed.
Well, Evgeny, thanks very much indeed for sharing your views with us here in the program on President Boris Yeltsin. That was Deputy Director of the Yeltsin Foundation, Evgeny Volk.